What is going on, everybody? How is everybody doing today? Welcome back here today to a reaction video to your guys' realistic Deandre Ayton trade ideas. So a couple days ago, I did upload this to my community tab asking you guys for your most realistic Ayton trades. So I'm going to sort this by the top comments. I'm going to go through as many as I can until they start getting repetitive and we see multiple Hawks trades or Pacers trades. Also, if you guys enjoy this kind of mini series where I react to some of your trade ideas, I have done plenty of these in the past. Most recently, my Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert trade ideas. We've done like a bunch last offseason, so get ready for them this offseason. And yeah, let me know anybody else you think that could get traded that you want to see some ideas. Maybe some number 7 pick Blazer trade ideas, maybe some Tyler Hero trade ideas, some Julius Randle trade ideas. I don't know. We'll get into that. So starting off, we have it from, I'm just going to say Haiti. It's a 3-teamer, so lots to unpack here. The Suns are getting Jeremy Grant, okay, a realistic guy that's going to be moved this offseason. That's another video maybe, and Christian Wood. We have Isaiah Stewart, okay, Saban Wayne a first. Pistons receive Ayton and Shamet, so they'd be, oh, okay, so this is just a 2-teamer, sorry. I think this is 100% worth it for the Pistons. Suns don't get a bad deal because they can kind of solidify their front court and still semi-young kind of front court there, because Grant, not much older than Booker, still a little bit older, but still there. Stewart, similar age to maybe Mikal Bridges, a little bit younger there, but it's not like you're getting a 31-year-old in exchange for Ayton. So I don't hate this, and you're getting a future first-round pick and a young guard in Saban Lee. I actually really like this return for the Phoenix Suns because they're trying to compete next year in possibly Chris Paul's final year, one of his last years, but also trying to compete further along once he retires. As for the Pistons side of things, I think it's like I would move Jeremy Grant for Deandre Ayton. I'd probably move Isaiah Stewart and Jeremy Grant for Deandre Ayton. And for the Suns, you get off Shaman's contract. Would I want to give up Saban Lee and a first? That could end up being a lot, because maybe in the grand scheme of things, we know Ayton's better than Stewart, but how much better is he? Is he worth Jeremy Grant, a Saban Lee, and a first? I think the team that would say no to this would be the Pistons, but if they're like I love this for the Suns, I would maybe question this if I were the Pistons, you know? Maybe if I didn't have to give up Lee or that first, one of the two, and then I would like it. But yeah, you have Cade, Ayton, Bay, you're going to add Sharp or Keegan Murray or somebody like that. I'm a fan of that, as long as they keep their picks, maybe like a heavy lottery protected or like a 2025 protected pick. Next up, we have the Hawks. I feel like we're going to see them a lot in this video. So we got Clint Capella, Jalen Johnson, and 2 firsts going to Phoenix for Deandre Ayton, Aaron Holiday in a second. So the Hawks do have that Hornets pick that they got in the Cam Reddish trade, which the Knicks got it from trading in one of their first last year on the Kai Jones deal. I love the idea of Deandre Ayton on the Hawks, but is it worth it? I kind of like the idea of the Hawks getting off of Clint Capella more than I like the idea of getting them getting Deandre Ayton, because they have Onyeka Okongwu. Let him shine there. And I think it gets too crowded with Deandre Ayton. So honestly, maybe I'm talking myself out of it. I don't think I really like Deandre Ayton going to the Hawks. The Suns package of Capella, Jalen Johnson, and 2 firsts, I don't think is great. I mean, the 2 firsts is good. You can maybe make something out of Jalen Johnson. Clint Capella is, I'd rather have Ayton, but not much of a downgrade. But I think I like this package a lot more. All right, so next one is another Pistons one from Adam, and it involves Killian Hayes in there instead of Isaiah Stewart, and I think that would, yeah, I'd probably rather give up Killian Hayes than Isaiah Stewart at this point, which is kind of crazy to think about. So here we go. We have a Kings one. So the Kings give up Harrison Barnes, Rashawn Holmes in a sign and trade, but I believe Holmes is under contract, and 2 future firsts for Ayton and somebody like Campaign. Okay, I think the Suns would definitely benefit from somebody like Harrison Barnes and Rashawn Holmes, and you're giving up 2 future firsts. That's not a bad deal at all for Phoenix. I really like Ayton. I mean, Ayton on the Kings is a weird fit because you're really getting no shooting out of the front court. That's why they kind of been maybe playing Sabonis a little bit there at the 5, because neither Sabonis or Ayton can really knock down the 3 consistently. Both can hit it here and there, but you know, it's like, I don't know. Maybe it's just another Miles Turner Sabonis situation. And I don't mind giving up Rashawn Holmes and Barnes. 2 firsts is a lot, but you're getting Ayton under control, restricted free agent. You can sign him to a long-term deal. You build him in the foundation of Sabonis, Ayton, Fox, Mitchell, and Ivy. I love that. I really do. So I think if one of those firsts is like my 2023 top 3 protected and my 2025 top 10 protected, similar to like maybe the Kristaps deal, even though that first pick in 2021 wasn't protected, something like that I think I could work with, because then you can try to make the playoffs next year. But the Kings do need somebody like a Harrison Barnes because their wings, especially like the 3s and even the 4s, aren't great with their rotation. But it's definitely a good idea to think about. Suns get Kobe White, Nikola Vucevic in the 18th pick, and maybe another first for Ayton. Okay, so you're getting Kobe White, who could be a backup guard, probably an upgrade over Cameron Payne, Shamit as well, and then maybe successes. To say maybe it'd be the successor to Chris Paul, but I don't know if we could really say that about Kobe White. Vucevic, so you're still getting a solid center, but I mean, he would take a backseat scoring. I could end up as the number 2 scorer because Chris Paul and Bridges aren't the biggest scorers in the world. It's really behind Devin Booker, because you're not really getting a lot of defense out of Vucevic, which kind of hurts, but you get the 18th pick, so you can add another young player. Honestly, I think if I'm the Bulls, I would definitely be willing to do that. If I was the Suns, I would try to maybe find a better defensive center than Nikola Vucevic. So Jacob Davis has 2 trades here, one involving Charlotte, one involving the Pelicans. Okay, 2 teams we haven't talked about yet. So we have the Suns getting PJ Washington, Mason Plumlee, the 13th and the 45th pick. I do ultimately think that the that the Suns would decline that. I don't think PJ Washington is as good enough as a player because Ayton, he's restricted. You're going to get him for 3, 4, 5 years, probably 4, and he's still a really good player. Maybe I'm overvaluing him a little bit, but I don't think that's going to be enough. Pelicans give up Valanciunas, Temple, Murphy, the 8th pick and the 41st pick. So that Pelicans pick is a lot more value in that, and I think they would be more inclined because you get Murphy, good 3-point shooter off the bench. You get Jonas Valanciunas. Maybe the 8th pick you can land a Jalen Duren and have maybe that be the successor to Valanciunas down the line, or maybe you look at a point guard there with the 8th pick like it is in Daniels, so you can succeed Chris Paul when he retires. So I like that deal a little bit more. I love Ayton on the Pelicans. And I love him on the Hornets, but I don't think that they would have to give up a little bit more. You'd probably have to give up 13 and 15 in that deal, and maybe they'd want a Gordon Hayward. I don't know if they would want Terry Rozier, but somebody like that. I do like that Pelican trade a little bit more. Blazers get Ayton. Suns get Hart, Johnson, 7, and a 2024 top 10 protected first. I love Hart on the Suns. Keon Johnson, you could take a flyer on. And yeah, if Duren is available there at 7, I would think about it. But I think they could find a little bit better offers, at least in that incoming player than a Josh Hart. If that incoming player is like a Jonas Valanciunas, rather have him than a Josh Hart. If it's a Kobe White and a or a Vucevic, if it's a Grant and a Stewart, a lot more enticing than a Josh Hart. And we're with the Joe trade offer there. We have a Spurs one. This one is something we haven't mentioned. So Lonnie Walker via side of trade, Jakob Poeltl, Doug McDermott, and a 2024 top 10 protected first. Honestly, if you take out that top 10 protected first and you throw in number 9, or would it be 8 or 9? I think it's 9. Probably gets it done on the spot. I mean, I'd rather have Ayton than Poeltl. I'd rather have Ayton than Poeltl and McDermott. I think I'd rather have Ayton than Poeltl, McDermott, and Walker, 100%, because then you could have Murray, Primo, Vassell, Johnson, Ayton, which is hella fun. But it's just giving up number 10, or giving up pick 9, is that worth it, or do you value that 9th overall pick? That could be a Mathurin or Johnny Davis or Jalen Duren or Dyson Daniels. That's the $1 million question. We have another Pistons one here, Charlotte, which is a Oubre, Harrell, Bouknight, Jones, 13 and 15. Now that's a big package. See, that's the type of deal I think would get it done. Because Oubre goes back to Phoenix. I mean, he might get flipped, so that would be like a 3-team trade. Harrell gives you at least a backup center. Probably an upgrade over JaVale McGee. I don't know if they really want to develop these two in Bouknight or Jones. That's why there could be a 3rd team involved that's willing to give up a veteran, and then they could take on these 2 young players. Maybe that's like a Spurs or a Rockets, And 13 and 15 has to look hella appealing to the Suns. So we have a Warriors one here. So it's Wiseman, Moody, and a first. Yeah, I think it's only unrealistic because I don't think the Suns want to trade Ayton to the team that is in the NBA Finals from the Western Conference. I don't think that would really give them, you're making them a lot better. So I don't, that's not a terrible offer, but I just don't, if they offered Wiseman and Wiggins for Ayton, something like that, it's actually a good deal, but I don't think the Suns would trade Ayton to the Warriors. So just kind of looking through here, seeing any teams that we haven't mentioned yet, like Steven Adams, Kyle Anderson, and future first. Anderson would have to be a sign and trade. I mean, they do have 2 firsts in this draft. Maybe they would like Zaire Williams. I don't know if the Grizzlies would want to dip into that. I mean, Bane or Brooks would probably be appealing, but I think it also comes back to that Warriors thing. Would the Suns trade Ayton to a competitor or contender in the Western Conference? I don't think so. I'm sure they would rather trade him to Detroit or Atlanta or Indiana or Charlotte, I wonder if there was a Knicks one in here, because I feel like the Knicks do have an interesting idea. Christian Wood, Josh Christopher, and 2 firsts. Not a terrible offer, but I don't think Phoenix would really be enticed in developing Josh Christopher as they're trying to win now. And Christian Wood, I don't know. Isaac and Carter for Ayton, that's not a terrible idea. I honestly think the Magic would not be willing to do that. 12, 34, Roby and Wiggins for Ayton. I don't know. I think they would probably want pick 2. pick 2 for Ayton, like to know that they're getting Chet, but I don't think that the Thunder would do that. So yeah, here we go. We have a Knicks one, we have a Dallas one, so we can get into these. So Knicks for Mitchell Robinson, sign and trade Burks in 11. That's not a terrible idea offer. You could say who would you rather have, Mitch Robb, Isaiah Stewart, Clint Capella. So he kind of goes in there. You get Burks, who's definitely better, I would say, than like a Kobe White right now or a James Bouknight, and you're getting 11. So that's not a bad offer either. Maybe they would want that Dallas pick as well. That could be included, or maybe they want like a Derrick Rose to be a backup point guard. But I wouldn't mind the idea of the Knicks getting Ayton. I would do that if I were the Knicks. I think so. I mean, I would try to offer Julius Randle, but they're not going to say yes to that. Suns get Jalen Brunson, Josh Green, and Dallas first, so that would be a sign and trade. Dallas gets Ayton. Like before, I don't think that's a terrible offer. For Brunson, I mean, it's weird because they're not getting a big out of that, and Chris Paul is still there, so we really can't run a lot of Paul, Brunson, Booker lineups, and Dallas just beat Phoenix in the playoffs, so I doubt they would want to trade Ayton to Dallas. All right, so yeah, it pretty much gets repetitive. So like a lot of the top teams are Detroit. Surprised we didn't have any Indiana ones, but I think that could be something like Six and Turner. I think that might be too much for Indiana's liking. I'm sure they'd rather do Brogdon and Turner, something like that, or some Turner and a future first, or Turner and Dorte, something like that. So yeah, I think like some of the popular teams we'll see, maybe the Hawks. I think maybe the Pistons, maybe the Spurs, they would trade him to in the Western Conference. Hornets, definitely. I'm really liking the Piston ideas. I'm sure the Knicks will get involved in there. And then probably a team I haven't mentioned. Maybe Orlando gets in there. Maybe a team like Chicago also gets in there. So yeah, let me know what you guys think will happen with Deandre Ayton this offseason. I do think he will be signed and trade because he's a restricted free agent. So I think it's more than likely. Let me know where you think he's going to go. Also, if you want to let me know down below any other players you want to see me do these videos on, drop a like if you did enjoy it. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.